This is TOS Television, your digital first Pan-African news network. I am Abigail Okwade, and this is Africa Now. In the tiny but strategically important Horn of Africa nation, Djibouti, voters were up early to cast their ballots in the presidential election on Friday, which President Ismail Omar, widely elected, expected to win a fifth term and extend his 21-year-long rule. Some 215,000 citizens of the country's nearly 1 million citizens are registered to vote. It is a two-horse race between Ismail Omar, who is 73, and his challenger Zakaria Ismail Farah, who is 56, a relative newcomer to politics, an independent candidate without a party. He had to renounce his dual French citizenship to join the race. Djibouti, which gained independence from France in 1977, has remained stable in an often troubled region, drawing foreign military powers to establish bases there. A largely desert country strategically situated on one of the world's busiest trade routes is seeking to become a trade and logistics hub. In 2018, it launched the first phase of what will be Africa's biggest free trade zone, financed by China. Djibouti's GDP per capita is about $3,500, higher than much of sub-Saharan Africa, but some 20% of the population lives in extreme poverty and some 26% are unemployed, according to the World Bank. The country's economy shrank by 1% in 2020, but is expected to grow by 7% this year, according to the International Monetary Fund. Democratic Republic of Congo's police fired live rounds on Thursday to disperse protesters and arrested dozens of people, demanding the departure of the United Nations peacekeeping mission known as MONUSCO from the eastern city of Beni, its mayor and witnesses said. Hundreds of youths have been protesting in several cities in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo since Monday, angry that the UN mission has failed to prevent a wave of bloodshed by armed groups. Responding to the protest, MONUSCO spokesman Matthias Gilman said on Wednesday that the mission is there at the invitation of the government and it is not the mission's obligation to decide their stay. This year alone, around 330 people have been killed in the violence, an unresolved legacy of a civil war that officially ended in 2003. MONUSCO took over from an earlier peacekeeping mission in 2010 and has more than 12,000 troops deployed. Now, Senegalese government on Thursday said an independent and impartial commission will investigate the deadly violence in March that stained the country's reputation. Armed Forces Minister, who announced the inquiry, said investigators would re-establish the facts that the part of the truth. Kaba said the commission would be open to the opposition and civil society, but gave no further details or the timetable for its work. It will be tasked with drawing up a toll and determining responsibilities, as well as investigating accusations that unidentified forces helped either the security or the rioters. Riots and looting broke out, and the figure Ousmane Sonko, a leading rival to President Macky Sall, was arrested and accused of rape. Sonko, who has a strong following among young Senegalese, denies the allegations, describing them as a plot to knock his 2024 presidential bid off course. At least 5 people were killed in the worst unrest in years, according to an unofficial toll, which the opposition says at least 13 died and blames the authorities. Africa's Union Center for Disease Control on Thursday said it had dropped plans to secure AstraZeneca COVID vaccines for its members from the Serum Institute of India because of supply concerns, and is rather exploring options with the U.S. Johnson & Johnson. The head of Africa's Center for Disease Control, John Nkengasong, said reliable supplies of vaccines were vital and that Indian restrictions on imports had complicated things for Africa. He added that the AU's decision had nothing to do with the possible link to blood clots in rare areas involving the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, which will still be supplied to Africa through the UN's COVAX scheme. He reiterated his advice that the benefits of the vaccine outweigh the risk. Nkengasong said the African Union was focusing on the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, citing a deal announced last week to supply Africa with up to 400 million doses. Also, the single-shot Johnson & Johnson doses secured last week will not arrive until the third quarter, and Africa will find it hard to bridge the gap in the meantime, he said. UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, has shared with the government of Kenya a proposed set of sustainable and rights-based measures aimed at identifying solutions for refugees living in the Dadaab and Kakuma refugee camps of the country that hosts some 430,000 refugees and asylum seekers of more than 15 nationalities. The agency's plan includes enhanced voluntary repatriation in safety and dignity, while taking into account the movement restrictions related to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, provision of alternative stay arrangements to refugees from the East African community, acceleration of the issuing of national ID cards to over 11,000 Kenyans who have previously been identified as registered in the refugee database, and continuation of the vetting process for others in similar circumstances and resettlement to third countries for a small number of refugees who are not able to return home and face protection risk. Fatia Abdallah, UNHCR's representative in Kenya, said they have heard the concerns expressed by the government of Kenya and hope that the measures suggested will be a significant step in accelerating sustainable solutions for all those concerned. The Kenyan government on March 24th issued a 2-week ultimatum to the UNHCR to have a roadmap on definite closure of Dadaab and Kakuma refugee camps, saying there is no room for further negotiations. You are watching Africa Now on your digital first Pan-African network. More stories after the break. Just stay tuned. Welcome back. You are still watching Africa Now. Nairobi has been ranked as one of the most innovative cities in Africa. The city beats 500 others on the continent, including Cape Town, Johannesburg, Cairo, and Lagos, to claim the top spot. This is according to the Knight Frank Horizons report. The city emerged the top performer in the number of startups, level of innovation funding, and innovation infrastructure. It's also the city offers a good balance between the number of research institutions available, innovation funding, and innovation activity, as well as the ease of doing business, the report said. South Africa's Cape Town was ranked second, following Kampala, Cairo, Johannesburg, Dakar, Accra, and Addis Ababa, respectively. Innovation, coupled with economic growth, will drive the next decade of investment in Africa. Lower-risk investors will likely favor cities with above-average innovation scores and a robust economy. Also, cities that score higher for innovation but have less robust economy will attract those willing to take more risks, such as private equity investors, said Tilda Mwai, Knight Frank's researcher for Africa. Now, Egyptian archaeologists on Thursday said they made a stunning discovery of a large and unseen lost ancient pharaonic city that dates back to more than 3,400 years. The find has been called one of the most important since the unearthing of the tomb in Tutankhamun. The archaeologists had found the city searching for a temple in the desert sands near the city of Luxor. There were rooms filled with items that ancient Egyptians used in everyday life. Rings and colored pottery bore the seal of one of the country's most powerful pharaohs, Amenhotep the Magnificent. In one neighborhood, a bakery was found, and evidence of food preparation for many people. Elsewhere, there were signs of industrial activity. It seems some residents were engaging in the making of decorations for tombs and temples. This discovery is something really substantial in the history of Egyptian archaeology. Now in business, Tanzania Auditor General Charles, while releasing the audit report for the 2019-2020 financial year, revealed that Air Tanzania, the country's national airline revived by late President John Magufuli and touted as a success, made big losses over the last 5 years. The airline has said made losses of up to 150 billion Tanzanian shillings in the past 5 years, including exceeding 60 billion shillings last year. The lack of experienced directors in airline management, the poor management of the airline during the coronavirus pandemic last year, when the aircraft were grounded but continue with paying rental fees, are some of the challenges that attributed to the airline's loss, he said. The auditor also cited debts that the airline had inherited from previous years. They were a heavy burden for the company. And in sports, Botswana Football Association announced the appointment of Gabon Taylor as the first female chief executive officer and secretary general of the organization since the inception. She officially took office on April 5th on a 3-year contract. With more than 18 years of experience of corporate and commercial professional experience, Taylor holds a bachelor degree in business administration from the University of Botswana, including an array of professional courses in the areas of senior management and development, among others. And that is it on Africa Now. For more updates, do visit our website at www.tostvnetwork.com. Do follow and like our social media handles on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And remember to subscribe on YouTube. Stay with us and enjoy more programs on TOS Television Network. I am Abigail Okwade. Thanks for watching.